Hey everybody. Today marks the 1 week since I've had my lower lumbar fusion surgery. And I want to try to document some of the stuff that's in my mind and maybe try to help somebody else that's researching stuff like this because when I went to look back to research, I didn't find a lot of what people needed to know. I found a lot of clinical stuff out there, which is still good. Still need that. But I find that and like a lot of polished up stuff, and it just didn't look like true legit. And true. So this is going to be basically my honest, I can't think of the word, opinion or what actually happened to me. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Anthony. My wife is Serena. Uh, we would usually go out like adventures and camping and stuff like that. And here lately, it's been like, bicycle riding and just exercise, stuff like that. And right now, it's kind of changed to recovery. And we just wanted to document and let somebody else know. So basically, this is my 1 week, and we're just gonna get into what I dealt with maybe a little bit before the surgery and this past week that I've been home recovering. So let's get into it. So leading up to the surgery, I can't come up with like when it was like the final breaking point with my back, I guess. Um, but leading up to it, I was going to my primary and then they would go to the specialist and go here, go there, and everything. Um, was it somebody suggested the biospine or yeah? So my primary did. I thought maybe somebody suggested. Anyway, so we went and seen. He was like an what an orthopedic, yeah, and and we went to him a couple times, and after scans and everything, he could see what was going on. Basically, it was L5, S1, and that was like the main culprit. And so leading up to that, it was just like it hurt, and they gave you like some pain medication to kind of deal with it in the meantime, but it just continued to hurt, and it just wasn't. They first thought, oh, that was a physical therapy. They thought like, oh, you need to go to physical therapy, and maybe that was the problem. This is for my primary, sorry, and when we went to that in the middle of physical therapy, that's when I went to biospine and and once they figured it out and he knew, like I told him I was going to physical therapy and he's like, physical therapy isn't gonna fix this problem, man. So we had to jump through some hoops to, you know, insurance wise, and that's a whole nother story. And after going through everything that we had to go through, and they finally decided and everything was approved to get the surgery, the fusion surgery. And when we finally got like to drop that date, like your surgery is this day, it was like a relief a little bit, not relief from the pain, but just like in your mind, like, oh, I don't have that much longer to deal with this. And I uh I remember I went back to work and I think I worked for a little while. Yeah, well, up to that, I took I took a week off. I think that's what it was, and to try to, I needed to relax, and it was so, oh, it hurt so bad. And for me, like if I couldn't go to work, then it's pretty rough. So, um, and after we got everything approved and everything, so I remember I went back to work, and by that point, I still had like what 2 weeks before the surgery, and we I worked like half a day or a day and a half or something. I can't. Yeah, and I hated going in and telling him. I was like, I can't do this, man. You know, this like I because I'm a truck driver, so getting in and out of the truck, and I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things involved, not just driving, and I just can't do it. I guess I don't know if it's like a man thing or something, but like to say that like you can't do this, it's hard. It's still hard, you know. Just you know, I don't know, but getting past that, the surgery, uh, getting to the surgery. So basically, I had to wait about a week and a half before the surgery, and basically all the doctor told me was, you know, they didn't give prescribe me any medicine at that time. It was just like basically taking like some muscle relaxers and Tylenol and stuff, and just heat ice, and trying to relax, and that's almost impossible sometimes. And so we finally it came to Tuesday, and we finally had the surgery, and I and so this is like up to this is actually Tuesday, a week from last week to today. And actually, honestly, it's like I don't feel it's weird. It's hard to explain. It's just like the pain of like back pain isn't there, but the pain of your body's trying to heal, that's what I'm dealing with. And there's a whole bunch of like restrictions that they've thrown on me right now, like no bending, no twisting, no pushing, no pulling. You know, what I could, you know, handle 5 pounds. That's it right now. That's hard, So but it's, you know, it's hard to explain, But knowing that, like, you know, we're I'm just that much closer to recovery is just it makes me feel a little bit better. So just it's going to be a slow road right now, but we just got to get there. So this week, what I've dealt with, honestly, what pain wise is it's like I said that there hasn't been. It's just the pain of the recovery. Like when I had the surgery, you know, within you know after the surgery, waking up from the time I woke up and I was fully awake. They had me up walking from the bed to the chair, and I sat in the chair and was just continued trying to wake up and because you have to, they which they said was kind of funny was like there's some boxes you got to mark off before they're going to let you go home, and the biggest one they say is you have to use the restroom. So it was just like water, water, water. So I'm in this chair, just and I got like I still only have like my robe on and like this back brace, and then like I'm sitting like this because like the chair is just like perfect, like I'm just sitting there. Finally, I got to the point of like I think I can use the restroom now. So she, I got my walker. She takes me to the restroom, and it's like in your mind, like, man, like if I don't do this, God. Well, she told me she's like, if you can't do this, then we're gonna have to use catheter, and you either or will go home with it, or you have to stay the night. And well, you can't stay there; they have to transfer you to a hospital. So you don't want that. So it's like you're standing there, just like, okay, let's do this, and just I had the feeling of I got to go, but like nothing was happening, and then finally, yeah, everything flowed. And that was a huge relief because I knew I was going home. And then once I came back, then they allowed me to get dressed. And I think from there it was like another half hour or so, then I went home. And and they told me, that you know because they sent me home with prescriptions for some medicine, like you know a high dose, pain reliever, some muscle relaxers, and then nausea medicine. And we, my wife Serena, she went and got everything filled for me, which was weird because which doesn't make sense because they she sent it off to to Walmart and dropped off the prescriptions, and they said that they wouldn't fill the pain medicine because they said that they're only allowed to give like 30, and I think they gave me like 40 or something. And it was just like, well, then just give me 30. And it's like, well, we can't give you 30 because it says we have to give you 40. And per our policy, we can't do that. So she had to go to another store to get it filled, which is ridiculous. And uh, so we came home. Well, I was already home. Like that day, I slept the rest of the day. I think I did wake up at night and and zero appetite. Yeah, I think maybe I had like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or something like that, and just right back to bed. And I did sleep most of the night. The first night, it was hard because just trying to get comfortable. I'm sorry, because I came home with a drainage tube and everything, so I got like this contraption, you know, that the blood flows out, and, discharge or whatever it's called, and so I got this, in my pocket of my shorts, in bed, and and I that's what I the hardest part, that night was getting trying to get comfortable. I just, you got you got you know y- two little incisions on your back, and your back is just super inflamed, and just you had this crazy surgery. So it's like, I'm kind of a side sleeper. It's like you can't get over this way, and I did sleep, but it wasn't like a full like 7 8 hours or nothing. But the next day, I remember just, you know, I think I slept most of the day the next day, right? I was kind of up and down, right? Huh? The second day. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, the home health lady. Those home health ladies that came. Yeah. And they came every day. Actually, they came every day. Today was the last day for them, and they didn't. The only day they didn't come was yesterday, Monday, which is whatever. But and she took out the drainage tube, thank goodness, because I think the first night, like in the middle of the night, I had to use the restroom, and that was hard. And you know, I literally couldn't. It's like I'm in the bed, I'm trying to get out, and it's like I can't get up. So Serena was there like every second, and she still is. Helping me out of bed. Helping me. I just like once I get to the bathroom, and I think actually when I got out of the bed, like the drainage tube, the contraption, I forget what it was called. Anyway, I dropped it and it hit the ground, and I thought for sure it was going to like rip it out or something, but the hose was long enough where it was all right. Yeah, yeah. So that was that kind of freaked me out for a second, but that the first night was all right, but the next probably what 3 nights, terrible, terrible. Which I didn't even they didn't say anything about this, but I don't know if it happens to everybody. But the home healthcare lady said, like I had massive pain like within my thighs and like right below my knees, but like not all the way in my calves, just around that area. Like so much I couldn't sleep. And like I was using the heat pack on my legs, we had a TENS unit on my legs, and nothing. The pain relievers they gave, I was taking them, and the muscle relaxers, nothing was working. And like I'd slept like uh, yeah, like 20, 30 minutes, Serena says. That was it. And it was waking her up, and it was just, man. And they don't, I don't know if that happens to everyone, but I told the home health nurse about it, and she said that, they gave you nerve blockers in your back for your operation, so the pain has to go somewhere. So that's the next closest thing, is that. So I don't know if that's correct or not, but it sounds pretty good. But if that is true, then that was uncomfortably. It, it, it just, oh man, it literally felt like my legs were asleep. Just pins and needles, and oh man, I don't know. It just, that was the hardest part, which I didn't know was going to happen. And but after like what, 3 nights of that, then it just, the one night it just didn't happen. You know, it was so great to finally get like a full night's sleep. But oh yeah, yeah, because every time I'd roll over or move or anything, she's just like, I look over and her eyes are open. She's like, "You okay? What's going on?" And I'm like, "I'm good, I'm good," or I gotta go to the restroom, or But man, yeah, I wish I would have known that. You know, that was probably the hardest part of it, I think, so far. It's just, you just don't know. You don't know. I mean, it could affect everyone different. The one thing that surprised me the most about this whole thing is that, and the doctor even told me that like the back pain will be gone, and and he's right. And I'm just like, and I don't have the back pain. It's just like the pain is just from the recovery. Yeah, if that makes sense. But I can honestly say, like, like the home healthcare lady was here today, and she said, like, what kind of pain level do you have right now? And I said like two, and only because I have like a little migraine. Just and that was it. It just, I didn't think it like that quick. That's crazy. So right now, so a typical day for me is it's, well, not counting like the first 3 or 4 days that were just terrible. We'll just say the last 3 days have been good. And typical day, just getting up and you know having so okay, buddy. you know Having coffee with Serena in the morning, just like quiet time. And, I'm almost at the point where I don't need help to get out of bed, um, or help. Just there's always somebody there, with me. So I'm almost at the point where I feel like I can almost venture off, maybe go to the store by myself, or you know, but there's still no bending, no twisting, nothing. I can't. You just can't. And I can honestly say the other day I went to, like, it was just like a reaction, like, oh, go pick it up, and I went to do it, and I got pretty close, and it was like, no, no. And they're just like, the pain of, you know it's not healed, you can't do that. And so, but you know maybe, I haven't, Serena has been driving me around. It's almost at the point of, I need something to look forward to the next day or next week. Like today, I knew I was going up to my work to see my friends that I work with, and that was cool. And because they've been, texting and calling, checking up on me and everything. But seeing somebody is better than, chatting, talking, whatever. Um, and then we went to Walmart and looked at bicycles and stuff like that. Just got out of the house for a while. So Sunday was like the first day I got out of the house, and we went out, and we went to the coffee shop, and I think we went to Publix and went to Walmart, and that was too much. And first outing, and like I came home and I think I slept like 3 4 hours, and still got up. I had a little bit to dinner and still slept all night. And I thought for sure I was going to be up at like 2 3 in the morning. But we're all good. So like tomorrow, I can tell myself I can look forward to editing this video. You know, we already said that we were going to go to the bicycle shop and just go to the park and walk around a little bit. Just I need something to look forward to because all I've done forever is get up and go to work, and you know, I don't want to say I look forward to going to work, but that's just what you did. You went to work, so now I feel like I need something to do. Just I can't go to work. I need something to look forward to. You know, so if I can give like one practical tip, one thing that you'll need, or maybe I'll have a couple things that'll just pop in my mind after I'm talking about this. But you've got to have a good support group behind you. The one thing we had talked about, I remember like one of the nights that I was in bed and just with my legs were hurt and I couldn't sleep, and I was like, I mean, like, yeah, like I was like, we need to go to the hospital. I can't sleep. This pain is hurting, and Serena was there to talk me off the ledge. And she's been here the whole time, and I know she'll be there. Until I'm 100%. You know, along with my daughters. And my mom, and just everybody. Friends, and just everyone has been there, and just the one we were in one of the nights, or just starting to say about that night that I was having all the pains. The one thing that we had talked about, I remember us talking about, was just like I couldn't imagine doing this by myself, and it probably happens all the time. And just and that oof, that's a weird feeling. I couldn't imagine doing this by myself. I would have got through it. It would have been 100% harder. But like they even said in the at the vital spine place that when you leave, you have to have somebody there, a responsible person to bring you home, not Uber, no ride share, no nothing. Like there has to be someone that's going to bring you home and help you into your house. And yeah, you got to have yourself a support group to help you, because you can't do this by yourself. This is ridiculous. It's just um, uh, uh, you a couple other little things. Like today, I know this sounds weird, but today was the first day like I wore tennis shoes. It's just I couldn't tie them. I couldn't bend down and tie them. But Serena tied them for me. Like I've been wearing sandals, and house shoes all week. Like every time we go out, I just wear sandals. It's like you just can't put shoes on. You just, you know, goodness. She Serena put my socks on for me a couple times. And that was good. Even when I took a shower, like I was good. I really was good. But I know this sounds ridiculous, but like I needed a little bit of help getting dressed. Can you imagine having to do this by yourself? You know, that's crazy. I couldn't imagine that, and I just feel bad for anybody that had to go through something like that. And a couple things to close with here. If you've gone through this, or you're about to go through this, let us know down below. Maybe somebody will leave a tip or something down there for you, and or something maybe that I missed. Like I know once I'm done here, I'm gonna remember like, oh man, I should have said this. Maybe somebody down below that's seen this, you know, you know, can help out somebody else down the road. I hope this reaches out to other people. That this was like my main thing, was just trying to give it to somebody, because I had a hard time finding stuff to watch. You just let everybody know. You're not the only one that has to deal with this. Just it's weird. It sounds weird, but when you're going through this, you feel like you're the only one dealing with this at the time. But you know, it's it's still crazy. It's still weird. It's still I'm so glad it's over. It just because I know next week and the next week and the next week is going to be even better. You know, they said that I'll probably have a setback. You know, that could happen, but you know, you don't want that to happen. But you know, hey, you know, that's life. It's things are going to happen. I know it's going to get to a point where I'm going like, hey, I can do this. Then all of a sudden, like, oh no, I can't. You know, just so this is going to be the channel for a little while. Recovery part for myself. You know, it's recovery part for everybody in this house having to deal with me. Unfortunately, you know, this I don't know. It's this is our life right now. You know, hopefully soon we can get back to our adventures, doing riding bikes and camping and doing stuff. But you know, it's going to be a little bit slower getting to those. You know, I remember I asked the doctor one time about like recovery time, and he had told me like 2 to 6 weeks. I was like, okay. And then we had talked to him like right before the surgery again. And then he said like 2 to 3 months. But then he said everybody's different. So I don't know. I wish I had an answer for that, but you know, I don't. You know, so but for right now, this is going to be the channel for a little while. Eventually, we'll get back to some kind of adventures, but right now, you know, this is our slow adventure. So you know, if you watch it to the end, I really appreciate. And we'll try to check back maybe week 3, week 4, and give another update and you know let you guys know. And if you're interested and you want to know about the update, just let me know down below, so I know that you know people are watching and they want to see it. So until our next update video, thanks for watching, guys, and you know take care of yourself.